Over 30 Apex Legends voice actors refused to sign an agreement that would see them give up their expertise to train the generative AI that was going to replace them tomorrow. So I saw this headline recently and I figured that if there's any gaming company out there that was going to try to be the first one to replace their voice actors with generative AI, somehow I knew that if there's anybody that's going to do it, it was going to be EA. Because they've never really been known for the heart and soul that they put inside their video games, or just wanting to make the most ethical moves when it comes to the industry, or at the very least, just do what seems right for the players and their employees. Like, I think that if we did a game companies as a 7 deadly sins kind of video, EA would undoubtedly be the greed without any competition. And now this push that they're trying to do with AI looks like just another soulless cash grab at the expense of just game quality and the voice actors, of course. So it says that while an ongoing SAG-AFTRA strike proceeds apace the US, SAG-AFTRA is the Screen Actors Guild strike that's been happening for a couple of months at this point. It also includes video games and voice actors as well. The strike that has over 160 actors across the industry is just asking for humane protections for actors against AI exploitation. Not really an unreasonable thing to ask, but it says here that it seems that gaming companies are also continuing to fumble the bag in other territories, like EA, for example, who very likely asked the French cast of Apex Legends to train the AI that would invariably replace them. So this is all coming from the voice actress for Wraith in the French version of Apex Legends. Her name is Pascal Chemin, and she dropped this bomb on her Instagram page and tagged all of her colleagues, basically. So according to the rough translation, it says that before being even called in for a recording session of a video game, the studio sent me and the 31 other voice actors in the casting a mail containing an annex of confidentiality and a handover directly from the publisher. I needed to accept these terms before being able to go to work. I thought so when I read through them, and a legal expert specialized in audiovisual confirmed it. These terms weren't acceptable. I was now forced to give up the role I had been working on for almost 6 years. In no way could I force the rest of the casting members to do the same, but one thing was certain: if we all refused, it could maybe have an impact. Otherwise, it would have been in vain. Without any hesitation, the 31 other voice actors all refused to sign this annex. We wrote a collective letter of refusal we sent to the publisher and are awaiting for an answer. If we aren't united now so that the clause that protects our voices can be officially added in our contracts, and not just for us here but for every video game dubbing studios, we'll never get one and we'll be heading for a disaster. Of course, to refuse to work in the present day is nonsensical. There's barely any work available for many of us, if any, and we are increasingly struggling with money. Yes, a salary would be welcome, but we aren't simply asked to work. We are asked to give up our expertise to train the generative AI that will replace us tomorrow. We are asked to agree to what we specifically fight against. We are asked to shoot ourselves in the foot. We are asked to support AI. So while she doesn't explicitly name EA or Apex Legends in this post, all the other French voice actors that she tagged on the post also work on Apex, and the release of Apex Legends also coincides with the role that she's been working on for almost 6 years. Now, I'm not surprised that EA is trying to do this with Apex Legends specifically, since that game has been on a steady death spiral over the past few months. The players and content creators are just leaving the game by the droves since it's just been stale for the longest time. And realistically speaking, there's just so many other better options of live service games to play. So if you're curious about the downfall of Apex Legends, one of the top creators did a pretty complete breakdown as to why the game is dying, but the situation happens to be so dire that the CEO announced that Apex needed a large and systematic change after EA didn't hit its monetization goals. So he went on to say that Apex Legends launched with significantly more new features, like for casuals and seasoned players alike, including more maps, more modes, a new anti-cheat software. But following all those changes and the battle pass changes that they did, that people hated so much that they ended up having to reverse it, well, it didn't see any lift in the monetization like how they expected. So they didn't make any extra money from all those changes. So I'm guessing that trying to get rid of the voice actors and replace them with AI just so happens to be one of those large systematic changes that they're talking about. And honestly, it's just pretty on brand for EA, since it's not the first time that they mentioned wanting to do something like this, because back in May of 2024, there was another report saying that EA Studios was hungry to start using generative AI as quickly as possible. So this conversation is one that's been on their mind for a very long time now. And it really is just a scummy thing to do, to be asking your staff to help train their AI replacement before you, the company, ultimately have no more use for them and then just end up firing them. And it's not like the AI is going to be able to do a better job, it's not going to blow people's expectations away or anything. At least in the way that the AI speech models are at this very moment, you can still kind of tell that they're robotic. They don't have those natural inflections that you hear from an actual voice actor. Maybe a year or two down the line, things will change to the point where it just becomes irrecognizable, since the technology is just improving so fast at this rate. But as it is right now, you can still kind of tell. But that's unfortunately the direction that a lot of these different industries are going with. You know, first it started off with journalism and blog posts. Now they're going after voice actors and game designers too, since AI is already being used in so many things like NPC dialogues, quest writing, even level design. And I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but Grok 3 on X has been doing some pretty impressive things, you know? It basically just turned everybody into a noob game designer, since there's people out there making arcade games only using a few prompts here and there. And sure, you know, they're not high quality experiences, they kind of just look like copy-pasted examples, but I'm sure that EA, they're more than happy to sacrifice quality using AI if it means having to pay less money. And this whole scenario reminds me of two different things, where one, there was a video that went viral a few months ago about a guy who actually got replaced at his freelance writing job because of AI. So in that video, what he talks about is that the company that he was working with at some point told him like, hey, everybody's using AI now, we want to keep you around, but we also want you to pay you less, so you can start writing articles with AI, pump out more content, but you get less money. So the guy there, called Alex Way, obviously didn't want to take the pay cut and just refused the offer, so the company just stopped giving him work. And number two, I don't know if you guys remember the Scarlett Johansson drama that happened with OpenAI and ChatGPT, where they originally offered her the chance to be the official voice of their speech model, since the CEO, Sam Altman, apparently had some sort of obsession with the movie Her, you know, where Scarlett Johansson plays a robot that a man falls in love with. But after Scarlett Johansson refused the offer to be the official AI of this voice model, OpenAI, what they did is that they just found someone who sounds like her and made them the official model for their app. So now with the voice cast of Apex Legends, I have to say that, you know, I respect the fact that they banded together and refused to have their voices trained for an AI model that'll replace them and just give the players a worse experience overall. Obviously, that's a position that nobody wants to be in, but the realist side of me makes me think that this is just kicking the can further down the road. You know, the technology is already out there and it's improving at a ridiculous rate, like I mentioned, and there's no way that a company like EA of all people, is just gonna sit this one out and take the L. You know, I'm pretty sure that they're already working on an alternative way to replace these actors with AI, and even if the actors refuse to cooperate with them, I'm sure that they're just gonna go find someone else who sounds like them and is willing to take the deal. So unfortunately, this is just the sort of situation where you're just really fighting a losing battle, you know? Like, this is just gonna get more and more normalized to the point where maybe 5 years from now, no video game company is gonna be hiring voice actors, it's all gonna be AI generated. It's gonna be sloppy, it's not gonna be the best quality that it can be, but it's gonna save them a lot of money. And as much as I don't think that AI should be used to replace the creative side of human nature, like art, voice, video creativity, you know, the reality is that if I was in their shoes, if I got that letter, this is probably the best time to negotiate, you know, so I would probably tell them like, hey, I'll take the deal, I'll train your stupid AI to make the official Steven AI voice or something, but I want some royalties out of it, you know, I want a kickback every time you use it. Now's the best time to negotiate because there's still a lot of like backlash from the overall community. People still say like, hey, this is bad, don't do this, we don't want this. But like I mentioned, a few years down the road, it might be normalized and then you won't get any offer at all. And I gotta say that getting a small kickback definitely sounds a lot better than getting fired and being replaced by someone who sounds like me and is willing to take the crappier deal. But yeah, unfortunately, this is the future that companies like EA in this case are pushing for. It sucks because ideally you want these voice actors to be able to keep their jobs and you want them to be praised for doing a good job, you know? And they might have been able to stand their ground for now, but realistically, I really don't see a light at the end of the tunnel for them. Like, I don't really think this is gonna end the way that we wanted to, but unfortunately, we're just gonna have to wait and see. But yeah, that's all I really want to talk about with you guys, so thank you guys for watching.